Hello fellow makers, this is Ryan with Ryan's Cosplay Closet, also known as The Real Melky. Today we're going to talk a little bit about mold making. Well, actually a lot, because there's a lot to go over. Now, to get started, there are a couple things you should know about silicone. There are two basic types you can use. You have the tin cure silicone, which is this and this, and you have the platinum cure silicone, which is this right here. Each one has different advantages and drawbacks. The tin cure silicone is typically easier to use, easier to measure, easier to mix, easier to pour, and it doesn't have as many curing inhibitions. It does take a little bit longer to cure, however. The platinum cure silicone has a lot more curing inhibitions. And you'll typically need a scale that measures down to the gram, and you'll usually need a vacuum chamber, which I don't have either one of those at the moment, so I prefer tin cure silicone. Now, this stuff can take anywhere from 2 to 24 hours to cure, so be prepared for that. Now that that's out of the way, I need to talk about why you would want to make a mold. Well, there's a couple different reasons. One, you just might want to make multiple copies of something, which is what I did right over here. I made all these pyramids and these 4 buckles using a silicone mold. Yes, they are all exactly the same, which comes in very handy when you need something consistent, or when you just don't want to make multiple copies of something out of foam or clay or whatever. Now, when I talked about curing inhibitions, tin cure silicone will cure with pretty much anything. You can have your masters made out of metal, like this, which is what we're going to be making a mold of today, and this, which is foam, EVA foam, but you would have to cut it, carve it, sand it some more, and some more, and seal it, and then sand it some more, and some more, and some more, just to get it as smooth as you can. Because silicone is fantastic at capturing all the little details, which, if you look closely, you'll see a lion's head with about 1 billion little hairs or lines depicting its mane. Silicone will pick up every single one of those lines. Now, but enough about me talking. Let's just do the thing. Now, before you mix up your silicone and pour it all over your masters, which is the thing you're molding, you need to make a mold box. This will contain your silicone. So I'm going to do that right now. The mold box can be made out of pretty much anything, just as long as it is strong and rigid enough to contain your silicone, because that's its purpose. Now, typically how I do this is I will cut a strip of poster board like so. And then I will score the poster board on the line right here. I measured how big the mold box should be before we started this. And I will score the poster board along the marked lines. That way, I can do this. It's much easier than trying to measure each individual wall. I tried that. It sometimes works, sometimes it doesn't. This works much better. Then you would secure this to the floor of the mold box. But, okay, for the typical one-part mold, which is what we're going to make today, all you would have to do is attach your masters to your mold box, the floor of your mold box. Not like that, like that. Make sure you have the side you want showing. And then you would put your mold box around them. Typically, you want to have about 1/2 inch between the edge of your master and the edge of the mold box. This way you can be sure that you'll have enough silicone and it won't tear when you're freeing your master. Because that's not fun. You don't want that. Now, that's your one-part mold. There's also the two-part mold, which is a little bit more complicated, but trust me, you'll want to learn how to do this. This is so worth it. But today, we're just doing the one-part mold. Now, if you're using tin cure silicone, you won't have any problems with super glue. So, what you'll do is you'll put a dab of super glue. I don't know if you can see that on camera, but here we go. And then you would attach your master. Now, I could just make a mold of one of these, but I need to make 22 copies of these things. So, we're just going to make a mold of all 4 of them. Yes. And also, when you're using super glue, make sure to close it up and seal it correctly, because fumes and whatnot can cause problems. So, take care. So, close up your super glue. Now that the masters are attached to the board, it is time to add the mold walls. Now that your masters are secured to the bottom of your mold box, it's time to add the walls. Now, again, these can be made of pretty much anything. Poster board, plastic, wood, metal. I've seen some people use Lego bricks, which is actually kind of smart. I don't have any Lego bricks. So poster board it is. Now, you want to make sure that the wall is completely sealed to the bottom of your mold box, because silicone will leak through even the smallest gap, because it's a liquid. It does that. So after this bead of hot glue cools, we will attach the second wall, and so on and so on. Like this. Make sure to reinforce the corner. And wait for that to cool. Over it twice. Seal up any cracks that you might have. Reinforce any joints. And it is completely okay to go a little overboard with this part, because it's better to waste a little bit of hot glue than a lot of silicone. Because silicone is typically not cheap. So, make sure to use as much as you need, and then a little bit more. Typically, I will go around, look around the whole perimeter of the mold box, just to make sure I have all the cracks sealed. That looks pretty good. Now we're going to wait for that to cure or cool down because it's hot glue. Now for the actual silicone mixing. This is the fun part. Your silicone will come in two parts. You have your base, which is this, and your catalyst, which is this. Typically the base is a white goop and the catalyst is a colored goop. That's to help you know when it is thoroughly mixed, which is also very important. Now, I need some gloves. And now it is safety time, because you do not want to get any of this stuff on your skin or your clothes. So, put on some kind of protection. Take off any expensive watches or piercings or whatever you might have. Put on your gloves. Sometimes I wear safety glasses, but not today. Then you will open your base. Now, before you mix these things together, you should know that sometimes if your base stays on the shelf at the store long enough, it can separate. So you'll want to pre-mix your silicone before you mix your silicone. Now, at this point, there's no chemical reaction happening, so feel free to take your time. Get a good mixture. Like this. And then you can add the catalyst. This stuff. Again, make sure it's mixed up really well. Open it up. And add it to your base. Now, you can measure this stuff out. Each silicone has its own different mixing ratios and whatnot. But I typically just use the entire thing, the whole box. Now, you want to make sure that these two things are thoroughly mixed as well. This is not thoroughly mixed. So, mix, 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 mix. Stir until it is all the same color. You don't want any striations or lines or anything like that. Now, you may have noticed the bubbles that are in the silicone. That is not exactly good, but not exactly the end of the world either. Because I'm going to show you a way to pour the silicone that will get rid of most of those bubbles. Oh, and after you've added your catalyst, you will have, with this stuff, you have 20 minutes of working time. It says so right here on the information chart sheet thing. Also, read your information sheets. That will tell you how much molding time you have, the cure time, and of course your various safety equipment that's needed. Now that is looking like it's mixed much better, so I will go scrape the edges one more time, scrape along the bottom. That looks good. And toss that. And now, the fun stuff. We're going to pour the silicone over the masters. To do that, and to avoid making a mess just in case I missed some cracks in the mold box, we're going to put it in another container. Now, happens to me too. This is the way to get rid of most of those bubbles. It's called the bombs away method. What you're going to do is pour your silicone in a long, thin strip into your mold box. And as you pour, any of those bubbles that you had will just pop or go away, or whatever it is that bubbles do. You'll keep pouring and pouring and pouring until your masters are completely covered. Now, when you are pouring your silicone, you do not want to pour it directly on your masters, because that will create air pockets and you'll miss some of those details. You don't want to miss details. What you want to do is pour your silicone into one corner of your mold box, like I did right here, and let the silicone flow and rise and creep over your masters. And then you just wait for your silicone to cure. Again, this can take anywhere from 2 to 24 hours. This stuff says it's ready to cure in 2 hours. I typically wait overnight. One more thing. After you've poured your silicone, do not touch it. Don't look at it. Don't even breathe on it. Don't check it. Let it do its thing. And that's it. That's it. Thanks for watching, guys. I will see you next time.